Okay, so some applications on of what we have learned so far. So suppose we have a form, and this form is very similar to the form we did in or we talked about in the previous class, like similar to the teddy bear form. So basically here, I mean, a person puts their personal information, and then there's two types of phones, a silver phone or a blue phone. And then once you put in your number of orders of each type of phone, and then you calculate order, then you get yeah, like the total number of phones you have ordered and the total price of your order. So I mean, using the TOE chart, the task, object, and event, I mean, there's one calculation button which we never actually used in our user interface lecture, and everything else, clear, exit, labels, and all that stuff we actually designed or talked about designing. So here we'll actually calculate stuff. We'll actually calculate, based on the input of the user, like how many phones were ordered, what is the total price, and stuff like that. So to do the maths or to plan the codes for the math, generally people do a pseudocode. So what is a pseudocode? It's basically stuff written in almost plain English, which is gonna be transformed into a code. So this is something which any person can understand. Not necessarily they have to know programming. So as long as they know the logic. I mean, this is basically the logic behind the programming, and this is one way of representing that logic. So I mean, basically mathematical statements using the arithmetic operators. So I mean, here is the pseudocode for the calc button is that first you assign user input to the variables, then the relation between the total phones order is that total phones equals to silver plus blue phones, and then the subtotal is basically the total phone order times the price of each phone. Sales tax is equals to subtotals times the tax rate. Total price is subtotals plus your sales tax, and then you display the total phone orders in the in a label and total price in total phones label, and blah blah blah. So basically, like a set of statements identifying what we are gonna do code for. So that's one way of laying out your plan for writing your code. Another way is using flowcharts. So these are basically visual representation of what you're gonna do in your code, and I mean the information flow is vertically from top to bottom, and there's some standard symbols for different sections of the flowchart, or like suppose for start or stop you use an oval, for identifying processes you use a rectangular box, and for like identifying where you get your input, where you get output, you have parallelograms. So they use standardized symbols to show the steps a procedure must take to accomplish its goal. And I mean, this is another way of planning how to write the code. And besides all those start stop processes and input outputs, you also see those arrows, right? And that's the that's a way of saying that how the data is flowing or processing from the start to the stop. What is the direction of your planning?